in my involvement with CBMC, and my involvement today and tonight, this afternoon, I look out at this audience and I look at all you beautiful people and I look in your eyes and I see Christ. Beyond any shadow of my doubt, I see Jesus Christ. But when this man started coming down and being with us, he was very, very special, because I wasn't quite that enlightened way back then, was I, Paul? No, you weren't. I was significantly of the world, but you, we're not roasting me, so keep that up for a later time. But Tom, he just, he began to come around and be with us and grow with us. And from that, and you're going to hear more from some other people, is when he decided to work, come to work and make the decision to work for CBMC.
So for any of you that spent any time with my father and I at the same time, you might know that I'm not too shy about throwing a little dig the old man's way every now and again. So when Steve called me up and said, hey, we'd like to have you take a few minutes to step up and roast your dad, I was like, wait, you're going to give me a microphone and a chance to say a bunch of stuff about my dad in front of a bunch of people? Oh my goodness, I was absolutely floored. Kind of like him every time he tries to stand up on his own. Seriously, is that too much? So I'd like to share a little bit with all of you about what it's like with Tom Whitney as your father.
Yes.
Dad has always been very frugal. At times the word cheap may have been appropriate to describe him. As a kid, we'd walk out of our various sporting events and inevitably we'd pass the vending machine with all the sports drinks and ask, Dad, can I get a Gatorade? No! Of course, being kids, we'd try again, hoping next time he'd give in. No! After a while, I decided to start tallying how many times I asked versus how many times I got denied. Here are the results. 913 requests. Denied 4,893.68 times. Okay. He started using preemptive strikes, followed quickly by a shock and awe campaign. It's crazy. Sometimes he'd be so upset he'd just stop mid-word, turn red and shake. I'm telling you, it was something else.
But Tom was a tremendous hockey player, and you know, going back many years ago, I imagine I've been in CBMC 25, 30 years, and Tom was a person that really cared about you, and he was always there for you. He had a positive attitude all the time, and he was just dependable, and you knew you could count on him. So, Tom, I just want to say publicly, we appreciate all your service for CBMC. Thanks for being a tremendous leader and a good friend.
So I appreciate the efforts that Tom put together to bring forth this type of an organization and establish the ground basis in Christ for businessmen to be able to share opinions and to be able to openly and trustworthy have a group of people to be able to share with and talk and discuss problems, and appreciate the efforts that Tom put forward. I know that was a magnificent help for me in our company as we went through trying to solve different problems. And Tom was very instrumental in my being able to be part of that group, and I appreciate that so very much. Thank you.
Tom, I have a question for you, and then a comment about what I learned on our trip that you and I took out to my plant in Wilmer. First, the question, what did you learn on the drive to Wilmer?
Never follow.
Never follow anyone. That's what Tom learned. Always pass everyone. And then
Steve lived up to that on the way down.
And then secondly, I don't think Tom would mind if I shared a personal conversation that he shared with me about himself and Patty. He said that on their first date, he said to Patty, "Do you kiss on the first date?" And she said, no. And he said, how about the last?
I just wanted to take a quick moment. Tom and Patty, I appreciate your all's hospitality, especially for the Caleb men. And Tom, I appreciate the effort and the energy that you put into discipling us, praying over us, leading us, encouraging us. And I appreciate how you love Alan and Don and just what you've meant. And being relatively newer to the organization, a lot less time than Mike and some of the other men who have seen a lot of changes. I just really appreciate what you've built in terms of the organization and the legacy that CBMC is. Thank you, Tom. I just really appreciate it. And Patty, thank you for, no man does ministry by himself. It's a family affair, and I appreciate the Whitneys. So God bless you guys.
So I just appreciate that, Tom, that you always kept up with us and asked what kind of prayer requests we had. So thank you.
But I just think it's interesting the way God works in His kingdom and how there's the principle of the sowing and the reaping, and what you sow, you don't always get to see the fruit of your labor and the reaping. And you know, the seeds that He sowed through His life, I can see evidence of that in His family and friendships and relationships. But you know, He obviously worked with Don Hofford and brought him into CBMC, and then the domino effect of, you know, Don brought me into CBMC, and just the blessing that I've received being with other Christian men and being able to be prayed for, and just the blessing that I've had as being part of the organization. It's just I wanted to honor him for his faithfulness, because this is some of the, you know, my wife and I have actually been doing a different curriculum because of the organization, and so we've been blessed. My family's been blessed indirectly, but it's all the fruit that you don't get to see down the road. Is, you know, you're just one decision, one relationship from changing people's lives down the line that you may never even meet. And so I just want to appreciate you.
Remember that first meeting? We were at Tom's house and we were chatting, and I think, Tom, it was you that said, you know, there's a mission statement for these teams, and it goes something like business owners and professionals being lit up by Christ, glorifying God in their life, business, and extended marketplace. And I thought, wow, I want to be part of that. And you guys said, well, why don't you pray about that for a while? And I did. And Tom and I started meeting and praying almost weekly. And to your point, Matt, you know, eternal ROI. Just Tom said, what about a vision? And so we prayed, and he said, as we started talking, Vision 400 kind of came up. 400 men in these groups, and I thought, wow, that's a stretch. So, well, today there's 361. So,
I've said this too to other people. Tom, you probably don't have, it'd be difficult for you to understand the impact that you're having now. And I think you've heard me say, and I'll say it to these people, he's having more impact from the chair than he did ever before. And it's because of his intimacy with the Holy Spirit, his intimacy with his Father, and how that is pouring out into his life in every relationship he has, whether he's meeting with them in his living room, or he's talking to them on the phone, or even more recently, he conducted a workshop or a retreat remotely with people out in Philadelphia. So he's sharing with people around the country the insight that he's gained that I think you only gain through living through tough time and difficult circumstances. So Tom and Patty, on behalf of my family, just want to let you guys know how much we love you and how much you mean to us. So thank you.
And when it was nice out, we'd go meet out on the porch, and you would always provide beers for everybody. And we were all of legal age. Emphasize that. And I remember one time we had a guy named, I think it was Pete, in this instance, where Tom had come out. Dan, as you mentioned, there had been a couple falls. I've only seen Tom stumble once. And he was walking outside and knew that he was falling. So he told us and he warned us. It was kind of like, all right, guys, help me out. I'm going down. Well, Pete was the nearest. Pete was the closest by. So to help Tom out, he made sure he grabbed his beer as Tom was on the way down, so that he wouldn't spill his beer.
Folks, Tom is in need. Because of the progression of his MS, his monthly expenses continue to mount, whereas his monthly income has fallen. Tom has been in a negative cash flow position for many months. You know, when we learned about this situation, we began to pray and ask God what we should do. The answer we heard was simple. Band together and encourage Tom. Let him know that we care. Let him know that we love him. Demonstrate our love. And thus the purpose of this luncheon, to encourage Tom and to show him how much we love him. When I asked the Lord what I should say to you today, he said, the first answer I got was, remind them of what I said in my word. So I'm going to do that. Give generously to him and do so without a grudging heart. Then because of this, the Lord your God will bless you in all your work and in everything you put your hand to. The righteous gives and does not hold back. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due. When it is in your power to do it. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God. But if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him? Share with the Lord's people who are in need. And do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices God is pleased. When I asked the Lord what else I should say, he said, tell them to give from the overflow of love. Tell them to give courageously. Tell them to give sacrificially, and tell them to give joyfully. I'm happy to say that a lot of you have already done that. And it blesses my heart